versus Alliance. And we actually felt on the design team that we lost a little bit of that in Outland. You know, there was a big joining of forces, and we kind of lost that vibe. And going into Lich King, we wanted to make sure that this division, this war, would be refreshed. And the Wrathgate and events like that didn't just happen overnight. We'd been planning these for a very long time. I mean, Horde players know of Garrosh and Nagrand, you know, Sarfong Jr. And Nagrand as well, and all their lines from that time have kind of been working towards this and what Thrall's been doing, and eventually discovering Varian and him coming back. So with the Lich King, we saw this as the ultimate opportunity to put the war back in Warcraft, and I think we've been pretty successful. Going into Cataclysm, though, I think, like, if you look at this shot right here, it's pretty telling. That's actually the front of Orgrimmar, and if you recognize the black iron, it's from somewhere. All right, so that's our segment. Chris, you have anything else you want to add?
Not at the moment.
All right.
New features.
All right, so I think we'll go over the new features for the expansion here. We've got quite a bit of new stuff for you guys, a lot of new things to do, a lot of revisits of old things to do even in our cataclysmic revamp of the world. So,
Get those.
Without further ado, we've got our level cap increased to level 85. So some of you might be thinking, whoa, that's kind of different. It's not 10 levels. It had to be 90. Why isn't it 90? So level 85, this is one of the kind of key decisions that we made for Cataclysm, because we want to make sure that we focus our time and energy in the right places. And you know, part of that is in, you know, redoing the level 1 to 60 zone, so people that re-roll new characters and that sort of thing have a lot more new level up content to do than ever before. And in addition, we wanted to make sure that we're able to bring more in-game content than we ever have before. So one of the things that we decided was that for this expansion, the level up increase would probably be right to do the 5-level increase. We also, as you know by now, have the 2 new playable races. The Alliance have the Worgen. Greg Street in the class panel will go over some of the racials. Both of the new races have pretty awesome racials. Worgen have things including Dark Flight, which is kind of like a sprint ability. It's certain to turn many people into saying it's the world of Worgen craft, I'm sure. Rawr. Oh, you want to see that some more? All right. So we've got quite a few classes available to the Worgen. I think everybody will be pretty pleased. The only thing that they won't be able to do right now in our current plan is be paladins or priests, but Greg Street will talk a little bit more about that. And so for the Horde, we got goblins, as you all know. They've got some pretty kick-ass racials themselves. They've got a handy rocket belt. And this rocket belt has a couple different pieces of functionality. They're able to use it to rocket themselves forward, sort of like a disengage, but forward. And engage, if you will. And they're also able to let loose some rockets out of the rocket belt that can actually let them fly and do a bunch of damage to a target. So should be good times. Oh, there's many other abilities. Greg Street will tell you all about them in the class panel. I'll try not to spoil them all. Here we have a Goblin Rogue, certain to be the enemy of many Alliance players in Battlegrounds. By next BlizzCon, we'll probably hear a lot about how people hate them. And we also have 7 new zones. So in these new zones, these are, of course, in addition to the ones that we're redoing for the redone level up content. These are, new zones that players have never really gone to before. Take a quick look at them here. So up there at the top of Kalimdor, we've got Mount Hyjal, and you guys will get to have a chance to see what's been going on there recently. Quite a lot. Also, we have Old Doom. Finally get to reveal that. By God, all this time, the world map was wrong. There isn't a coastline just south of Tannerus. There's a zone. If only anybody had gone there to look. We have, of course, the new starting areas, the Lost Isles and Gilneas for the Worgen and the Goblins. We also have the Isle of Kazan, which isn't labeled in there. We have the Sunken City of Ashir, that's under the ocean. So we have an entirely new type of zone, which is an underwater zone. And don't worry, we will make sure that it is not annoying to play underwater. And we also have the Twilight Highlands, and that'll be featuring Grim Batol. Good times. Then we also have Deepholm, which is the elemental plane of Earth. And so players are going to be able to go there. That's one of our major new level up zones between level 80 and 85. That's almost like the Dragon Blight of the expansion. And what we have it pointing to right there is the rupture in the world that Deathwing created as he came up through the Eastern Kingdoms. So while it isn't actually conceptually physically connected to the world of Azeroth, that's sort of the entryway that Deathwing made. So that's why we're kind of pointing to it there to give it a little bit of reference.
And just real quick, guys, keep in mind the map is not to scale. It's just so that we can show you all the areas, but things are spatially a little different than that. So, little caveat.
So in addition to the new zones, we've got the Classic World revamp of all the zones. We've got updated quests, art, and items. We learned an awful lot in the course of doing the original World of Warcraft and the Burning Crusade and Lich King. I would say that Alex and his team are more proficient than they ever have been in the past at turning out awesome quests.